City of Stevens Point Police and Fire Commission meeting, recorded, January 7, 2020.
It's a little bit after 2 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead and call to order the January 7th, 2020 meeting of the Stevens Point Police and Fire Commission. It's good to see the entire fire service here today. Who's working at fire headquarters, Ron?
Amanda.
Okay, good. Leanne, would you please call the roll?
Carlson?
Here.
Kirschling?
Here.
Moore?
Here.
Westcott?
Here, Commissioner Ostrowski is excused from our first meeting of 2020. Just a couple of quick thoughts and reflections on our meeting here today. Welcome to the new decade. Not only is New Year, new decade. Momentarily, we're going to hear from both Police Chief Skiba and Fire Chief Finn on some of the goals and objectives, aggressive goals for the protective services for the city of Stevens Point in the year 2020, and to implement a number of things that will continue to carry and improve the wonderful protection that is provided by the fire service, ambulance service, and police in the city of Stevens Point moving forward well past this year. We're also going to, in just a little bit, take a sneak preview, according to Chief Finn, the recruiting video. Sarah, I understand you have had I'll look forward to seeing it here in just a couple of minutes when Chief Finn plays it during his regular fire chief's report. So we're looking forward to hearing and seeing that. We also, before we move on to the regular business, I want to share with the Commission that effective today, we're going to slightly modify one of the procedures that we use here at the Commission. Historically, in the past, either the Commission's President or the Commission's Secretary has reviewed, signed, and then we have distributed the bills to the Commission for your review and ultimately review and approval at our regular monthly meeting. We're going to slightly alter that. The bills will be distributed to you unsigned. That will give you the opportunity to review them, develop further questions or comments if you have them, and then pending the motion to approve those bills at the regular Police and Fire Commission meeting. Once that has been attained, then I will sign the bills as required by law. That will continue the accountability and transparency for the work that we do here on the Police and Fire Commission. Also, just a personal note, I know most of you knew Will Lehner, Pearl Harbor survivor. Will, a veteran. I think everybody is quite familiar with Will's workbook for his, what is he, 98 years old? Something like that, just an incredible individual. I think we all knew Will in many capacities. But the one that I wish to at least acknowledge is many of you may not be familiar with all the stories you've heard about that Pearl Harbor veteran. He was a longtime member of the village board in the village of Whiting. And was really an excellent example for veterans who came back from their theaters of war and was a good guide for how to make those adjustments to really become a part of civilian life again, and to give back to your communities through a variety of ways that we're all familiar with Will, how Will did it. But certainly one of the aspects was through his work as a longtime member on the village board in the village of Whiting. As a former alder, I know you remember that too. So rest in peace, Will Lehner, and our sincere condolences to Will's family here in the Stevens Point area. With that said, I'm going to move to item 3, which is a special recognition this afternoon. Maybe it's another example. Frequently we talk about organizations, members of the community who have so many different ways of supporting the community in which they live and work in. I think Johnson Towing is an excellent example of that. This commission on occasion hears from those who are supporting our police, the canine services, EMS efforts, a variety of law enforcement efforts, And it is our privilege and honor today to publicly recognize and thank, as a regulatory commission for the City of Stevens Point, Johnson Towing. Some remarks were prepared at the request of the fire chief to basically talk about Johnson Towing and the commitment they make to the entire county area, not only just the City of Stevens Point, but to the entire county, of which we have representation today from the fire, from the Portage County Sheriff's Department, Village of Plover, elsewhere. So welcome to all of you. But Johnson Towing is always willing to donate their time and their resources to the fire service and to the Portage County Citizens Academy for training purposes. There isn't a person in this room wearing a badge or a member of this commission that doesn't firsthand know the value, the incredible necessity of training and continuing to train, so that when we are confronted with these circumstances, these emergencies in real life, we know exactly how we're going to handle this and what we're going to do, because we have trained, we have prepared, we have had the opportunity to learn. Johnson Towing has always been very generous to allow the Stevens Point Fire Department and the Portage County Citizens Academy to use their facilities as part of this training. They have shown great hospitality while training and are hosting Citizens Academy, including warming areas, bathrooms, drinks, and food. And that means something too. And it's important that we say thank you. And that the positive interaction of Johnson Towing with the Stevens Point Fire Department, the Citizens Academy, and others carries into operations on scene during emergency calls, as I mentioned a moment ago. The smoothness and the cooperation that exists between all agencies and the training that they benefit from because of the generosity of Johnson Towing. So we have representatives of Johnson Towing here today. Please accept, on behalf of the Stevens Point Police and Fire Commission, our most sincere and heartfelt thank you for that commitment to serving the community. With that, I'm going to recognize Fire Chief Bob Finn. Chief Finn.
Thank you. Betty and Daryl, you want to come up, guys?
Well protected.
Yeah.
Betty and Daryl, when I think of Johnson's Towing, I think of someone that says a leader in the community, and that's what you guys are to us every day. And this is just a small way for us to show you our respect for your business, respect for what you do to us, and your generosity throughout the community. So today, each individual fire department and police department are going to give you a challenge coins plus one from the Citizens Academy. And then I'm going to turn it over to Jason Karpinski, who is our rep from the Citizens Academy. Jason?
On behalf of the Citizens Academy, thank you. Appreciate everything you guys have done for us.
And on behalf of the Village of Plover Police Department.
Thank you. Thank you. This card too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
On behalf of the Stevens Point Fire Department, Betty and Daryl, I'd like to present you with a challenge coin from the Stevens Point Fire Department. There's never a time that we can't pick up the phone to call you and ask you for help. The training that you provide every one of us saves lives in this community by us being allowed to do auto extrication, the police department with forcible entries and what they have to do. So on behalf of the Stevens Point Fire Department, the citizens of Stevens Point, and Portage County, thank you again.
Don't they make a speech?
Thank you, sir.
Did anyone from Johnson wish to address the commission?
Yeah.
We always enjoy a good speech.
That was my bad.
That's what I'm here for, Bob.
We definitely appreciate all of you people, the time, the effort you put in. We're here to help you. And there's basically, I don't care if you call me in the middle of the night and say, hey, can you bring me out water to a fire scene? I will. You know, I'm just that type of person. So anything I can do to make your lives easier or better, don't be afraid to ask.
I think if you look around the room here today, you can see how so many members of our protective services feel about you. Because normally this
Guys are
room is
great.
completely empty. So, thank you.
I appreciate all of you, I really do.
Thank you, Betty.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, with that
Thank you, I'm
said,
done.
with that said, I'm going to move to item 4, the promotion of Jeremy to probationary police sergeant. Jeremy, are you here?
Jeremiah.
Jeremiah, I'm sorry. I'm working on new reading glasses here. Yes, thank you.
That's what
Chief
I'm here-
Skibba, you have the floor.
That's what I'm here for, sir.
Yeah, really. I'm sorry, Jeremiah.
So today, Police and Fire Commission, I'm honored to bring Officer Blue before you to speak about some of the stuff that he's already done for our community and what I believe he's going to do in the future years. He had 9 years of law enforcement experience prior to coming to Stevens Point 4 years ago. During those 4 short years, he has been on our SWAT team. He is one of our original canine handlers, and also does a lot in the realm of patrol and drug-related investigations. And also he has served as a lead officer, which within our chain of command is a supervisory role. And so, again, we're very fortunate to have officers like this serving our community, and looking forward to, as people in my age and position retire, that we have younger officers to step in and fill the role very well. So, Officer Ballou.
Jeremiah, if you want to go to the mic, if you have any.
Everybody has to give a speech today.
That's right. And it's a New Year's resolution for the commission. Everyone gives a speech. Go ahead, sir. Jeremiah, go ahead.
Well, I really appreciate the opportunity that Stevens Point Police Department has given me to further my career. I came from Adams County looking for room to advance, and Stevens Point's really given me that opportunity.
Good job. Where's your partner?
He's in the car right now.
Okay. All right, with that being said, I will so move the promotion.
I'll second it. Okay, Joe.
Second by Commissioner Carlson as a liaison. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Congratulations, Sergeant.
All right, thank you very much.
Whoops, congrats.
I alluded to it in the beginning of the meeting. We're going to hear from our fire and police chief on just sort of that 10,000-foot view of some goals, objectives, areas we're going to, as a police, fire, and ambulance service, focus on in the year 2020 to continue the goals of protecting and enhancing the safety of the members of Stevens Point. You want to go together? You want to go separately? You do it any way you want. Chief Skibba, you go first. Go ahead.
Want to flip a coin?
No, all the
coin.
coins were given away. So regarding Stevens Point Police Department, stepping into 2020, we were very fortunate with the support of council and increasing the staffing to our department. One of those positions, as you're well aware, was a second drug officer. And one of the great benefits looking forward in 2020 is not only the enforcement side of that, but the opportunity, again, increase of 100%, the opportunity to educate more. So when we are in these homes, we have the opportunity to better circle back, if you will, and communicate the services that we have in our community to help these individuals who are clearly using poor coping skills. So definitely looking forward to the increase on the educational side of things. To that, I would segue to the level of education that we have been doing within the police department, partnering with Midstate and becoming more involved in their different boards for public safety. So speaking into where we're moving forward in the next 5, 10, 15 years in law enforcement and having a better opportunity of understanding the educational opportunities. And so we're definitely expanding with that. We also feel that that education is going to increase and benefit us in the retention side of things. And part of that is reaching out at the high school level, partnering with Midstate when they have their job fairs, things like that, being present so as these high school students come in, they're made aware of, okay, this is what that educational goal is, what the end product is. So definitely reaching out and partnering with the educational side of things, continuing with UWSP, actually currently working on a heart rate variability study with them and our wellness therapist here to, again, better understand the stresses that law enforcement experiences and what things we can do to contribute to their life expectancy. And so really, I would say from that 30,000-foot elevation, we're looking at education heavily in that sense and promoting succession planning with, again, providing opportunities for those that are interested in moving forward in the command structure, that they have the opportunities to get that knowledge needed. Done.
Yeah.
And out.
Chief Finn?
All right, for 2020, the first thing is our new scheduler system and payroll was installed and went up and running November 1st, so that's somewhat of a challenge, but it's working well and everyone's getting used to it, so we're going to continue that. Under the fire marshal's position, we were able to buy a new inspection program, which streamlines and improves efficiency and timeliness. And that was rolled out January 1st also. Under capital projects, we have monies to, the city approved, to upgrade our classroom. And it's gonna be state-of-the-art. We're gonna do it right this time. And our training for the fire department this year is gonna be getting back to the basics. We're gonna go through the Firefighter 1 and Firefighter 2 curriculum, along with trench rescue. And then the EMS side, they're going to increase the training levels, and then they're also going to work with the first responders underneath our service area. We are going to hire one person in 2020. I have a phone call to the gentleman today. He did call me back. I haven't been able to call him back. In March, so in February, we have on the agenda for approval the right for another SAFER grant for 3 personnel. Last year's grant, the only reason we didn't get it was accepted, that the federal government ran out of money under that. So we will apply for another 3 more people. And the reason 3 more people is if we get the SAFER grant, I think it would be very prudent and fiscally responsible for the city to hire the 3 guys, because the one guy that starts this year, we can reinstitute our training officer and get the positions back that we lost 6, 7, 8 years ago. So that, if that comes through, I'll be coming back before you to get the training officer. And that's going to segue into our training site. We are going to be writing FEMA grants for props. Write a FEMA grant for a training center is like a medium, I'm trying to think of the word. There's no, it takes you more time, it's not worth it, but they will fund the props. We have working behind the scenes with more than one outside agencies. They have MOUs for that training center that I can't bring up right now, but once these MOUs are designed, they'll come before this body sometime in the spring. And that's pretty much what I got.
All right, and again, none of that really is much of a surprise to the commission. These are things we've been discussing with our chiefs for some time, but we had agreed that the quick overview at our January meeting would be important. Are there any immediate questions for the chiefs on this, commissioners?
If I could add one thing, sir.
Absolutely, go ahead, Chief.
If we obtain these goals in 2020, right now we are in ISO 2. we were a point and a half away from being an ISO 1. If we obtain all these goals this year, in 2021, we'll call ISO back in to take another look at us, and then we will become one of 217 fire departments that is an ISO 1
In the nation,
in
correct?
the nation.
Right.
Yes.
That would be a significant accomplishment.
So-
Absolutely, no doubt about it. All right, are there any questions from the commission? Nope. If not, let's move to item 6, the approval of the minutes as submitted to the commission. If anybody needs to leave, just go ahead and go. You don't have to, I mean, I know it's an exciting group to watch.
No,
but-
they want to see the world premiere of the video.
Oh, of course, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
yeah.
I'm sorry. You have
Forgot
the
about
minute,
that.
The building burning down.
Yeah. I don't
you have the
smell-
minutes from the December 3rd meeting of the commission. What is your pleasure, commissioners?
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Comments, questions, discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Item 7, confirmation of the bills. Today, you have received the bills for the police department, fire and EMS services. If you want to spend just a moment, because I know you just received them today, I have reviewed them this afternoon and signed off on them. But if commissioners have questions or comments, please take a moment and just, if you have a question or a comment, go ahead and ask. I'm told, Chief Skibba, the $5,000 K-9 expense, there is some offset revenue on that, is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. In case somebody had a question on that, that's probably the largest expenditure in that area. Commissioner Carlson, did you have a question?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Have we always bought auto parts? That's what I was just,
So, and the treasurer would be able to speak to this point a little bit more clearly, but from a municipality, when things are billed through the public safety side of things, there is some incentives fiscally. So approximately 3 years ago, I believe the operational lines of parts, services, fuel were moved into the public safety to better account for our
Where it's going.
expenditures.
Okay.
And then again, benefit from the financial side.
Gotcha.
If there are no other questions, I will seek approval.
I'll make a motion to approve
Commissioner
the
Kirschling,
bills.
seconded
I'll
by
second it.
Commissioner Carlson. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed say no, motion carries. All right, item number 8. All right, Fire Chief's report. Chief Finn, you're up again, sir.
As you can see in the report, for the year, we had 988 fire responses, just over a little 3,300 ambulance calls. You'll get a better breakdown in March when we put our annual report together, present to you in March, if that's okay with you.
Yes.
Okay, what I'm really proud of is the 874 hours between inspections, runs, and everything else. These guys still were able to get 874 hours of training in. And a pretty safe bet to say that we're gonna be over 1,000 hours for 2020. They're all looking at me like, what? But if there's any,
Historically, what have we tracked in the past? I mean, 874 is an impressive
Chief Moody
number.
can answer that
Chief
question.
Moody,
when I
yes,
go
sir.
right now.
Normally, we're tracking somewhere between about 480 to about 510 hours per year. But with the fire marshal's position going into place last December, and with the new technology and the new software, obviously, we have these guys on the line doing more training. The abilities to do more training, we're up over 800 hours. And like the chief said, next year, or 2020, this year, we plan on being over 1,000 hours because of some of the things we've been able to streamline on the line with our personnel.
Outstanding, good. Please continue, sir.
And unless you have any other questions, we're gonna show the world premiere video.
I don't smell popcorn.
Well,
Oh, wait, before we show the world premiere video, you should
First of
set
all-
the stage a little bit. I
you
mean, we
have
all
to-
kind of know what's coming,
First of all, they
but
tried to explain to me how to get it up and running, and I just start laughing, so Lieutenant Kuzo's taking care of it. No, what we did here is, and this is a fault of department heads. I know Chief Skibben and I have been pushing for Sarah to do more work. I did not know that she did work for each individual's departments until like 6 months ago. And I was chief for 5 years. I'm like, this is ridiculous. So we recruited her. We did a live burn. She went into the burning house with a camera, all packed up. And she made about a 5-minute, this is a promotional video that we will show at career days and so forth. Her and Chief Moody and Chief Gemza are working on a training video and a retention video, like 30 seconds to a minute, that we could put on social media. So
You just read my mind. I was going to ask you, are there social media applications for this? Good.
this one is a little too long for social media, so what they are in the process, and hopefully in the next 4 to 6 weeks, we'll have something out, and we'll make sure it's on, the locals' Facebook page, the fire department will get it on the city website and stuff like that. But Sarah's been great to work with. I know the police chief is gonna start using her more and more and what we wanna do and stuff like that, so it's getting what we do every day out in the community.
Good. Please, Bob. Let's watch it.
Pick a screen.
Should we turn the lights down?
Whatever you want.
Turn itself down.
Sure.
Engine 1, make entry.
Now I've seen the world premiere.
Nicely done. Sarah, thank you. Thank you to the men and, all of you involved in that too? Some of you? None of you? Some, okay. Sarah, were you actually in the building when it was, have all the fire gear on? And a camera? Wow. Were the aerial shots a drone or from the aerial truck? Drone, okay.
It's an awful tall truck.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Any other comments on that? That was well done.
I thought it was well done, and like I said, the 1 minute training video and a 1 minute retain and retention video that we can get on social media to promote what we do every day and get it out in the community and make people want to come to Stevens Point to work. I think it would be a great idea.
Very impressive. I have to tell my colleagues on the commission, as I was sitting here watching the video, I was thinking of all sorts of additional videos for both the fire and EMS service and additional video topics that would involve police. I stopped at 12 in my head when I was thinking of potential topics for law enforcement, for EMS, ambulance. So, Sarah, we'll keep you busy in 2020. Thank you. That's great.
And talk to the mayor, and then you can get Sarah more hours so she can get these done in a timely fashion, and then we'll be okay.
Or we'll just use the hours, and then he can call me when he's unhappy about the hours. So.
Okay.
All right, well done all. Sarah, thank you. Chief, crew, yeah, if you need to take off, run, go.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Captain.
Have a good day.
Thanks, Chief.
Thanks, guys.
All right, are there any questions on Chief Finn? Were you done with your report,
Yes,
sir?
I was, sir.
All right, are there any questions for Chief Finn or Chief Moody or Chief Gemza in the back there on EMS?
I have one quick question. When the
Go ahead.
When the house was on fire, would you have, if you were trying to save it, would you have had more water in many more different directions than what you did? Generally, if you're
The
trying to
shots
save
that
a
you had
structure.
there is all, we're trying to get, knock down the embers and stuff like that, so the other houses in the area wouldn't catch on fire. That was just, we set up in case we didn't want other properties catching on fire. That was, had nothing to do with the way we fight a fire. But you're right, if there was a fire, always have 2 lines let out, there'd be someone doing a primary search, there'd be a company going to the roof to ventilate, yeah.
Okay.
And we'll make some of these training videos. That's the purpose of our goal this year, is to make training videos with our guys at one crew so the other crews can see it. And that's the purpose of the training site. So there is a grand plan, you know, like behind everything we're trying to do. It's just not thrown together.
That's a good idea.
Now,
And
we
I
just got to
certainly-
get the city to open up the purse strings a little bit, and we'll be okay.
Well, I certainly can see one in, the paramedic area. I certainly can see one in paramedic, fire marshal, in law enforcement. There's several that come to mind immediately over there, so well done all.
If you give me them ideas, we'll see what we can do, sir.
Will do. All right, I will move approval of the fire chief's report as it is submitted to the Police and Fire Commission.
I'll second.
Seconded by Commissioner Kirschling. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item is our police chief's report. Chief Skidmore?
So, a couple of things of note, and I would start on the back page and work to the front, but again, we've talked about the auxiliary unit quite a bit and what they provide to our community. Just shy of 1,100 hours of volunteer time last year alone in taking care of the community. We have a couple of ideas that we'll, in the near future, unveil to the Police and Fire Commission, but looking at the potential expansion of the auxiliary in staffing and possibly some of the things that they do for our community. The other things of note, we already talked about the confirmation of bills, but this commission is aware that we do have a capital for our roof that we had submitted for due to weather and a few engineering things. It had been delayed, so there are going to be a couple of capital requests that I'll be speaking to the treasurer to encumber, so those things will be completed in 2020. But from a capital perspective and encumbering, letting the commission know that that's moving forward. Then regarding the Comfort Inn shooting that took place,
Yes, sir. No, go ahead.
okay. With the assistance of Fire Chief Finn, we will be meeting with the Sheriff's Office to do an after-action review, recognizing that these events do not occur frequently, thankfully, in our community, where we have multiple jurisdictions, we have an actual shooting involved and paramedics on scene. You hear about our annual training for Rescue Task Force, and we're looking forward to using this after-action review to, again, better develop our responses moving forward. So looking at it as an educational opportunity. Lastly, I would share with you that unfortunately at the end of last year, we received a lot of threats in our junior high and high school area. And unfortunately, the hour clock is still ticking, but at the time that I drafted this, we had already invested over 230 hours investigating these various threats. And identified as far as the amount of arrests that we have made. In certain circumstances, we do not believe we have enough proof to move forward on charges on some of them. However, the level of evidence needed, so to speak, for us versus what the school district is able to do is different, and so there have been some levels of discipline taken to what we were able to prove or with our officers within the schools were able to confirm. So we are still moving forward on a couple of the investigations, and sadly, it seemed a lot of school districts were flooded with these at the end of last year, and though we do see these occasionally to this level, again, we're probably going to push over 250 hours of staff time. Is pretty incredible because it's not only the dollars, but it's taking away from other investigations, other enforcement, other preventative patrols, and protecting the community. So a little bit frustrating.
Chief Skiba, maybe you can't comment on this, but for those that didn't meet the threshold for criminal charges, do you know the discipline? Were they suspended for 5 days? Were they expelled for the year? Or can you not comment on that?
I am aware of suspensions, and even for those that were charged by us, the school also took action on those as well. So
a suspension, not an expulsion?
I could not speak to any
Okay,
expulsions. I would have to follow up more so with.
Nope, that's okay. I just thought if you knew offhand.
This was at the end of 2019, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I can comment on that, but there's the two of them that.
Bob, I'm gonna have to see if you can do that. Can you go to that mic, please? Get you on mic, please. Thank you. Go ahead,
And
Bob.
as he's coming up, just so you're aware, Lieutenant Cousseau actually oversees not only our investigation bureau, but oversees our school resource officer program, so.
Good. Lieutenant?
There was 2 incidents where we don't believe that we have enough to actually prosecute them for the crime, but the school district believes they have enough to prove that it was these individuals. They are suspended and they're up for expulsion, and those will be taking place early January.
Okay, thank you.
Is the rest of the school system going to be notified what the punishment is? Is this going to be like, so that everybody else knows this is not something that's a
That they'll
funny
tolerate?
thing, a joke, or anything like that?
I believe, and the district attorney actually came out as well, notifying everybody that this is not acceptable behavior. But I believe the school district will probably do an announcement to the parents indicating that the punishment, they won't identify the individuals because they are juveniles, but I believe that if the expulsions do go through, they'll probably be notified that individuals were expelled.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Thanks, Bob. Chief, you have the floor.
And that would effectively be it, aside from, if anyone had any questions, we will be moving forward with, again, with the support of council and this commission, funding our 46th officer. For the department, we will be moving forward. This Friday, we do interviews for an eligibility list, and in February, we'll come to the Police and Fire Commission with a request to hire that officer.
Refresh my memory, with Jeremiah here today, are we fully operational with the second dog on the street on patrol?
So We are. I will share with you because of the late change from Alana to Barry, his new partner. There is some training over the next 2 to 3 weeks that he is doing with regional other canine handlers, and then he'll be going back down to Indiana for potentially a week depending, but going through and just making sure Barry and he are where they need to be to get the certification, again, because it was a shorter window. And so he will be going down in approximately 2 weeks to confirm certification, so.
Are there other questions for the chief? I have one more if none of my colleagues
Is
have.
berry with an E or an A? Is it berry like a raspberry or berry like the name berry?
I believe it's Barry like the name Barry, but
It is.
they've
It is.
already affectionately come up with Blueberry,
Okay.
since it is Sergeant Blue.
Yes, yes.
Oh, rum pum pum.
It's appropriate.
Yes.
Can I back up just a little bit? I must have missed something. You were talking about funds that had been encumbered for capital works, capital projects to be accomplished in 2020. Can you unpack that a little bit for me again? What is in the 2020 capital budget or not in the budget that you wish to still accomplish this year? Bring that back into focus for me. I wasn't quite sure I knew exactly what you were talking about.
So some of the capitals that were approved for the police department in 2019 for
Right.
expenditure would have been approximately $150,000 for re-roofing the southern 2/3 of this structure, roughly. And there was approximately, and none of that work has been done yet. It did go out for bid was approved. But by the time we cycled into it, we got into this time of weather, and the request was made, if they honor the price, they can hit it this spring. So we have that, and the second one, you may be remembering that we had requested for 3 years running from a CJIS, criminal justice protection side of things, to meet the mandated requirements, that we were looking upwards of, I think it was approximately $210,000, $230,000 to be spent over like a 3-year period. Now that the request, I think, was approximately $89,000 for the year 2019. That, however, was not all spent because of some other projects within IT. So we'll be seeking that to be encumbered for 2020 to be expended then, or this year now.
So we should finish most of that, what we had outlined that needed to be done here this year.
I am hopeful, yes.
All right, good. I am hopeful too. Are there other questions for our chief of police?
I'll move to accept the report and place it on file.
I'll second that.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. We're adjourned. Chief Finn?
A video of this meeting is available for viewing on the city's website, stevenspoint.com/videos.